Hey everybody, this is Brett with Indie Comics Dispatch and broadcasting from an undisclosed location deep within the Milky Way galaxy. This is broadcast from the Dispatch.
If you got a story and you want the world to know it, if you think you ready and you ain't afraid to show it, throw your hands up high, yeah, we might stand out. We always representing cause that's what it's all about. We always representing cause that's what it's all about. And if you love some indie comics, let me hear you shout. Like, just stay tuned, what's the story? Had to get that every time a brand new indie comic from the Dispatch.
Good evening.
What's going on? Hey, how you doing, Brett?
Doing good. Hold on, I'm
Good,
going to adjust my
good.
camera.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry.
Showing off showing off the arcade machine as usual. No problem.
It just there's this like mail holder right here, and it was half in the frame, and it's just like
Okay. Yeah. As you can see, it's pretty hot in California right now, so I definitely have my fan behind me here because we're like hundreds plus degrees right now.
geez.
Yeah,
We were down to 89, I think, today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we had a lot of rain today. I texted you the
Yeah.
downside of my commute, which was a lot of rain.
Yeah. Summer feels like, well, here at least, like right when we think it's gonna let go, it's like, nah, I'm still here. Like I'm still in your house. I'm
Yeah.
still doing things. It's super fucking annoying. Like
Yeah,
leave us alone, Summer.
that's my wife's name, so she takes that personally.
Okay, oops. So how you been, man? Our last show was a pretty nice, fun, big
Yeah, that one was
deal.
fun.
And it was a lot different than the normal stuff since it was
Mhm.
TTRPG based and we had famous stuntmen and actors on here.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
I was telling my wife again, Summer, about it afterwards. She was like, "That sounds really cool."
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like, "You talked to that guy, the guy who played the first Thanos in the MCU?" I was like, "Yes, I talked to him."
Yeah, right. Yeah. It was really cool, man. He's the campaign is actually going really well. So
Yeah.
How
How much time is left on that? It's got like
another week, I
that's what
believe
I
it
was
is.
thinking.
Just
That's what I was
just over a
thinking.
week. Over 40K. All the good things that you want to see in a campaign.
Yeah.
And, Unlikely Hero Studios is a great publishing company, and Hannibal's a good guy. On and on and on, man, up and down, as things go. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to be able to display that here and stuff.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to getting my copy of everything.
Yeah, as am I. I'm also really happy to not be in that heavy ass coat and vest and hat. Like, like I like it for the cosplay and it looks great, but Jesus,
Right.
it's hot. It's it's
So
hot.
I got to reiterate last week, like you didn't tell me you and Lori were coming on in cosplay, and so I was kind of taken aback. I mean, I was like, "Oh, is this a thing we're doing? Did I forget?"
Yeah, it was actually Lori's idea. Lori has seen the hat before.
Okay.
Because of drawings of the character or whatever. She was like, "You got to wear the hat," and I was like, "Well, I'm only wearing the hat if you're in costume too." And I don't know why we didn't tell everybody else. I have no idea at this point.
It was kind of better that way, to be honest. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Summer watched a little bit of that episode. She's like, "Was Brian in a hat?" I was
Right.
like, he was.
Yes. So it was fun, man. It's fun.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes, especially being business people and we have our whole lives and
Mhm.
whatever else, we don't really get to cut loose
Yeah.
like we sometimes want to. And honestly, sometimes being in a costume and cosplay, like you just get to be you. And so it's
Yeah.
pretty fun. It's pretty freeing.
It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of Unlikely Hero Studios, I got a little book called The Art of Sanyak in the mail this week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this turned out awesome. This was a campaign by Unlikely Hero Studios to produce an art book of Stanyak's art. And there's just, I mean, let me see if I can find. I mean, I can flip to any page, but like This is so huge. Like, look at that shit. I mean, there's just some
Yeah.
awesome stuff in here.
Yeah, Stan is dope. So I will say a little, I guess, Easter egg spoiler, whatever. Stan did the first cover. Stan did the cover for Justice #1.
Really?
Yeah. So
I don't
I've
think I
worked
even
with
knew
Stan
that.
before, and he's a really, really great guy. He also did a Caliburn pinup that is modeled after Muhammad Ali Frazier.
Ah, yes. I know
Yeah,
exactly the one you're talking about.
yeah.
It's hanging right there.
Yeah,
You
see?
can't see it, but it's right there.
Yeah. So I actually, my copy is somewhere on the way. I haven't gotten the book yet, but I can't wait because
Good.
again, Stan's a dope artist, man.
Yeah,
He's dope.
very cool. Very cool. I'm going to show off a couple other things I got in the mail this week, but I do want to say if you're out there watching this, go ahead and share the feed to your profile, to groups, to whatever. Brian and I will do the same as we're talking. If we're looking down, we're not ignoring one another. We're just sharing the feed.
We're ignoring one another. I'm ignoring him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
hey, Facebook user. I'm not sure who it is because you're probably watching on my personal profile, and sometimes there's issues seeing who's who. So, but hey, glad you're watching. So I also got volume 1 of I always get this wrong, Pocus Hocus, from Jay Burns, I believe, if I'm saying that right. Hey Brad, how are you? Oh, it's Malachi. Malachi's the Facebook user.
When
that
does
makes
Malachi
sense?
say, hey y'all? I feel like there's always a little bit more like spice or something, like a little bit of jabbiness with Malachi's hellos.
There is. Yes, Quentin, Pocus Hocus is very interesting. I can't wait to read it. I've followed Jay's progress on that for a while, and it looks really cool. So if I have a chance when I'm done reading it, Quentin, maybe I'll ship it your way. And then I forgot to show this 2 weeks ago, but I just want to show it because it's fucking awesome. Print copies of volume 3 of Tales from the Dispatch.
Nice.
So this is over 100 pages of anthology, and there's a nice looking zombie right there in the middle there. It's got some really great stories. One not good story, but a bunch of really great ones. No.
Decide for yourself.
Malachi says, "Don't start."
Yeah. Come on, Malachi. Got no choice, sir. Got no choice.
Oh.
So when are you shipping Tales from the Dispatch, or have they already shipped?
They have shipped to the winners, and then the winners got I forget 10 copies, I think. I don't know. To for free as the winners, and then they got their individual stories printed as an ash can edition too, and so many copies of that, all by Lesser Known Comics, who helped sponsor it. Also, all the printing, all the physicals that you guys got, all the prize winners, that was all because of Lesser Known Comics and their sponsoring of the contest this year. So, yeah. So, I know Drew from Snowy Works has some available if anybody wants a copy. I know Mark from Lesser Known Comics has some available on their store if anybody wants a copy. And then the prize winners too, they may be hoarding all their copies, I don't know, but they should have some copies available also. And then the digital edition is free for patrons. If you're a patron of Indie Comics Dispatch, you can access the digital edition for free.
Nice.
Through Patreon. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So how are you? I hear there's a little you're engaged in a little bit of something now. You've hit goal, and
we've hit goal and the first stretch goal.
Oh, night, really?
Yeah. Everybody gets a sticker. Yeah, you knew that because I threatened yesterday to sell my body, and Greg Burnham, nice stand-up guy, said, "Don't sell your body, Brett." I don't know why. He's probably because he's like right up the road from me, and he doesn't want that type of person in his neighborhood. But yes, Malachi said here in the chat, but what about the Hoochie Daddy shorts? Malachi has done a mock-up of what I would look like in Hoochie Daddy shorts. Actually, I mean, a little less muscular than I would actually look in Hoochie Daddy shorts. Yeah, so if we don't hit 3,500, it's a toss-up of whether if we don't hit 3,500 soon, it's either I wear the Hoochie Daddy shorts or I don't wear the Hoochie Daddy shorts. I'm not sure. And I think Quentin's suggestion was yours fishnets, Quentin? Somebody had
Oh
fishnets.
wow, a little
Yeah,
risky, a little
so
burlesque out there. Okay,
yeah, I'm thinking a
okay.
little Rocky Horror picture show out type outfit.
Nice. So we have to, I feel like we have to ask the big question, right? Because it's I think it's important, especially for what we do. Um, how do you feel 3/4 or actually halfway through your first
Yeah,
campaign, your first Kickstarter campaign?
exhausted. I mean, I've run Kickstarter campaigns with you always for your projects with Wingless, and of course we did Indie Comics Dispatch, but I put a heavy emphasis in like the first week of Indie Comics Dispatches campaign, and then kind of backed off except for once a week, twice a week posts. Like I figured the community would give what the community wanted to give, and they did, and it was fantastic. But with this is like my project, right? And so like I feel that need to be hustling it every day, coming up with posts and messaging people and all the things. And coming up with funny things that maybe people will interact with. And so it's a lot different than a Wingless campaign or the Indie Comics Dispatch campaign because it's just exhausting, right? Like it's just exhausting. And there's times when it's like, you and I have talked about this before, I think, privately, where it's like sometimes it feels like nobody likes me, nobody wants, what the fuck am I even doing? And then it's like, yeah, they do like me. Like,
Yeah.
I've watched you play those emotions on Wingless campaigns. Now you're watching me play those emotions, and yeah, it's exhausting.
It is. It definitely is. I think you're doing obviously a great job, and we're resharing and reposting and doing our thing. But it is much different than when it's your campaign and what you
Yeah.
have to pick and the material
And not
um,
only the stress and fear, I guess, but also the gratitude and thankfulness for when people do pledge, when you do see like my daughter, my oldest daughter who's starting college classes, she signed up for Kickstarter and pledged $20 of her own money to my Kickstarter campaign.
right.
Like,
See, that's big. That's it.
yeah, that's
Eh,
big.
yeah. So there is. I feel like it's even a roller coaster it's like a bungee cord of emotions that you go through,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not a roller. There's no time up and time down.
Yep.
It's immediate. So I will say, as a person who's in this market and has done this, the market itself, in terms of like life for people, is changing, and
Mm-hmm.
so money is different and different times, and school
Yeah.
starting back up, and all these other things that go into it. But all of that hurts your pride and your ego, and makes you
Yeah.
question and doubt what you're really doing. So it's not an easy thing, but
No. So
I
yeah,
applaud
you
you
see
for it.
some people who would probably like love to be at where we're at. And so you're thankful
Mhm.
and grateful for that, but you can't help but compare yourself to other people who are maybe like twice as far along as you are and be like, damn it, what did I do wrong? What didn't I do
Yeah.
that they're doing? When a lot of times it's just age of the book, age of the creator, not like chronological age, but how long they've been in the game and everything. So
Yeah. There are a ton of factors that go
mhm.
into it, and you really can't. Jordan, my sister, had to tell me the other day, because I started doing that myself, and she was like, "The what is it? Comparison is the thief of joy. Like, just be
Ah.
happy. Like, be happy with what you are, where you are, and what you're doing, and you should be okay." And I was like, "Well, I mean, that makes sense, but shut up." So, you know,
Quentin says, realistically, from what I can tell, there's no good time for a campaign. There's always something going on. I mean, that is true. I mean, and you can't, to Brian's point, you can't predict what's going on in the life of the people who may support and back you.
mhm.
So, and we've had a lot of, I think it speaks to maybe the uncertainty of the economy, or maybe the
Yeah,
uncertainty of a new series, too,
mhm.
because we have both going on. You
Yeah,
don't know if you're going to like this series or not. So we have a lot of people pledging digital, which is great. We have 131 backers, which I'm really, really happy with that number of 131 people believing in it.
yeah,
So, I mean, it's going great, and I'm so thankful for everybody that's backed. I'm so thankful for my friends that have backed. Whether we know each other in real life or not, I mean, that term shouldn't even be a thing anymore.
right.
But my friends that have backed me, and just that means a lot, and it means a lot to bring this project to life. In fact, my wife, I haven't gotten to show it off yet, got me a Byzantine Empire
Oh,
shirt.
nice. Hey, that's dope.
Isn't that cool?
That's dope.
And
Yeah, that's
The
canvas too,
canvas,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
of the cover of issue 1.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't know where that's
Nice.
going yet, but I will find a spot. Probably take down some pictures of my kids or something,
You know?
and put that up. Um, Mal, I'm assuming this is still Mal. You're doing fine, sweetie.
Yeah.
LMAO.
Yeah. I think that's him having a spicier version of of talking to us. That's him doing that at this point. Um,
um. So
so
yeah,
I have a little bit of news as well.
yeah.
Thankfully, you guys, and I know you guys have been on my head about it, and it's been a while, and it's slightly different than your average wingless campaign. So in February, we launched, and it was successful in March. Nightfall 4 and 5.
Yep.
Usually, we launch one comic at a time because 4 is done, and we're doing production on 5. I wanted to finish up the series because it's a passion project for me, obviously, and something that I cared about. So I really wanted to get the story out. So it took a little bit more time than usual to get everything done, but we finally got the last colors back. The digitals went out to all backers for that campaign.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the week, our printer will have all the materials. Our printer and shipper, our fulfillment with 133 Art, they'll have all the stickers, shirts, posters, files, and everything, so we can get everything shipped to you guys very quickly. And we should have the same, honestly, for maybe a week or two with Justice number 3. So
That's awesome.
we're right back on track, and we aren't going to have any shipping, paper and like ink shortage delays. We've already secured that part of
Oh,
it.
cool.
So we should be off to the races, guys. And thank you for bearing with us. Like I said, it's a little bit different campaign than we normally do. So
What
I
people
appreciate
don't realize is that 4 was more or less done,
it.
but
Yeah.
5 wasn't. Like 5, the
No.
script was done, but nothing else was done, and so
Yeah.
you had to make that whole issue 5, and that's what took some time, and then some bumps here and there with other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. We had a few uncharacteristic delays, but
Mm-hmm.
I think when we're going into 2+ years of business, for this to be our first kind of personnel delay, I think has been pretty good. Again, I don't think that the delay is good, but for this being the
Right.
first time it happened, I'm pretty satisfied with the results ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, I've waited a year or more sometimes for some books, and so you were very realistic on the time frame of this, and then there were some unexpected circumstances that did pop up that were truly out of your control. So I know from being on the inside that it was truly out of your control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I've got to
and
leave it
Brian
there,
doesn't
right?
like it when shit's out of
Right.
his control.
This is very true. It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. But yeah. So again, we're back on track, and I'm really happy to be, part of it, and to get it done. And again, to open up, Nightfall represents a beginning and an ending for me. And
Mhm.
so for your series Immortalis to be launching and funding at the same time is a beginning for another branch of the company. So that's pretty
Mhm.
dope.
Yeah.
And probably my favorite part of all of this, right? Seeing these new branches kind of come to life.
Yeah. And there's I don't want to spoil too much wingless stuff, but there's lots of little branches getting ready to start sprouting off.
Yes.
A lot more than a lot of other indie publishers right now, at least.
Yeah.
We're not talking like Marvel number of titles, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of branches getting ready to sprout, and I'm excited to see that all happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to take a little, not pat on the back, right? But this is a source of pride for me. I don't know very many if any, indie companies that were able to put together a 5-issue series, crossover series, in 2
Hmm.
years. And so that's not just me, right? That's Wingless, that's you, that's Malachi, that is editors, that is Fabio, that's Nestor, that's all the people that work to put this together. That's Constant Hustle, that's Lawrence, that's I mean, there are so many elements here to bring together. So I love that we were able to do that, and we're able to continue the storytelling without really hindering ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. And tonight is not necessarily wingless night, but it is just Brett and Brian night. So Brian and I have the unique capacity of being both very deeply involved with Indie Comics Dispatch. Obviously, you see us on broadcast from the Dispatch, but Brian has been involved with Indie Comics Dispatch since damn near the beginning. one of my first interviews, and then since then we got the friendship got developed, and I've used Brian as a sounding board for stuff. Brian has told me when I've done something stupid, and
Vice versa. I think it's the other way around. Maybe.
Whatever.
Hey, Brian, maybe you want to not say that.
I want to say it. So we decided we would take tonight and talk this next year of Indie Comics Dispatch, maybe some of our thoughts and some of the stuff that we know is planned, some of the stuff Immortalis and Wingless stuff. So that's what we're talking about. And so if you guys have any thoughts, anything, just drop in the comments. Again, we would love it if you would share the feed to any groups you're a part of, to your profile. Help get the word out as we kind of go through our hour here, because we will be talking some indie comic talk in general, and so the more voices in that, the better. The better. Right. Anything else Wingless going on we want to talk about?
We do have, since our esteemed guest is here, we're still on schedule to launch her issue 1, the ongoing series, in October.
Nice. That's his favorite month, so that's perfect.
Yeah, right. Spooky time. It's going to be great. Also, we've seen the I've seen, I shouldn't say we, right? But maybe you have too, Brett. I've seen the colors. I've seen some of the artwork.
I've seen some of it.
The stuff looks great. Again, I don't like just patting myself on the back, right, or patting Wingless on the back, and that's not the case. It's just that I am fortunate enough to work with a bunch of great creators that want to put out top quality properties, which is something that's lacking sometimes in indie comics. And I understand there's like a lot of times, I know when I started, right, like I just wanted to get it out. I saw a path, and again, 10 years ago it was really hard to do an independent comic. Now it's so much easier, and so sometimes we rush to just get it out as opposed to getting the best thing out. So I'm very fortunate that I'm working with a lot of people that are doing top quality IPs that really they look great sitting next to a Marvel comic. They look great sitting next to a DC comic or whatever else. And so I'm really excited, and I'm really happy that in some form or fashion, not just for the creators, but for people who are reading these books, that Wingless Comic can make some dreams come true. People who didn't previously get to see themselves in comics can see that. They can read through some different stories, just a lot of things. And I think that is probably the bigger mission of what indie comics in general should be, kind of expanding people's vision and mentality.
Yeah, definitely. And so I can speak for myself, and I think I can speak some for Malachi, that like Malachi and I both had a desire to put a story out, and we looked at the field, and we chose Wingless Comics to approach about our stories. And the great thing about that is, and I've said it before, but there's a caveat this time. The great thing and the frustrating thing sometimes about that is Brian is a quality like control freak. Like, so like not a control freak, but a quality control freak. But and so in the moment it might be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But then like you give it to me, you're like, oh fuck, Brian's right again. And so
we've had our share of terse. I feel like we can always tell when we have like a terse text exchange, because then like we always bring up something, we'll wait like an hour and we bring up something super irrelevant, and it's like, oh hey, look at this insane meme, like, and it's like, okay, cool, that's our way of like apologizing or smoothing it over or whatever. But yeah, it's
or Malachi dramatically leaves the group chat,
and then we don't invite him back for a week. All right, yeah. So you know what's so I posted on Facebook, and my Facebook is public, whereas like my Instagram is private and a couple other things, right? But the thing about, I posted earlier this week because I've seen it a lot in indie comics and in indie communities, even movies and stuff, way more, where you'll have creators tell other creators what they should and shouldn't do, right? Like I've seen creators that are not affiliated with Disney in any capacity Disney, you need to stop making such and such movies. Like, what you mean, a movie that made $1 billion for them? Like, that doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
No.
And it's also weird because we're independent because we want the freedom to do what we want to do.
Yep.
So when you get in there and you have creators telling you what to do, it's weird. So when I'm working with creators that are, quote unquote, under my publishing company, who are also my friends, it's difficult. But then I have to say, like, okay, I have to take off the friendship hat or the just creator hat and say, now I'm an editor. Now I'm editor in chief. So I have to make sure that not only do I get what I want to see, but I need to make sure that your vision is translated the way I know you see it in your head. And I think I think that's the hallmark of a good editor in general. Because a lot of times we have these stories that we'll be telling, and half of the story is in our head, and we think it's on paper because we know it, but it's not there. That's not how it plays to an audience. And so I think that's what separates like the good story from indie comic from a great story.
Yeah, I agree. And you've called me on stuff like that. Like, I mean, even the very first draft of issue 0, I had an idea, and you were like, Brett, that might be playing things too powerful or something like that, I think is what you said. And I was like, okay. But it worked, and it made a better issue 0. And now it's going to make a better issue 1. And I mean, it just, So if you don't have an editor who will tell you the truth, not just correct grammar, not just correct punctuation and spelling, but an editor who will tell you the truth, you need to get one, even if that means you have to pay for one. But maybe you're lucky enough to have a friend out there who can be honest with you, because I do think that's a rare quality in a friendship, to be honest, even when it might piss the other person off. And so as an indie comic creator, I cannot stress enough to have a great editor, just like Brian Lambert, who you can hire.
Actually, no, you can't.
Oh, okay. You full.
Yeah, I would say I'm not being mean. I'm not saying I'm overpriced, because I'm not, guys. But I have 98 projects now. No.
Yeah. Don't hire Brian.
You can consult me though, and I will point you in the right direction. But again, I'm fortunate enough. I'm working with Fourth Wall Comics. I'm working with FSK. I'm working with Unlikely Hero Studios. I'm working with you guys. Again, I am super blessed. I am blessed beyond measure in this indie comics game, and the people who have followed me since. Oh, look at Mal. Thank you, sir. The people who have followed me since I started know that it always hasn't been an up path, right? It's been a battle to kind of get into certain places and get into certain rooms and open certain doors. The good thing about opening doors is once you do it, though, no one can close that door because you opened it. Again, whoever you are, keep going, keep striving, and keep trying to improve if you can at all. It just benefits you in the long run.
Yep. And that dovetails nicely into what I want to kind of talk about with Indie Comics Dispatch year 3. If you didn't know, we were actually in year 3. We passed 2 full years in May. And this summer is just kind of a crazy, hectic time. And so we were only doing every other week broadcast from the Dispatch. We're going to be getting back to doing every week in September after Labor Day's passed. And September 13th will be our first show back on a every week schedule. So year 1 of Indie Comics Dispatch, we had some people involved who, for their part, were conveying their truth with indie comics. It turned out not to be a great fit. But because of that, I think I made some decisions and then overcorrected in the aftermath of trying to right the ship. So if you've noticed the past year, we've had lots of news that doesn't necessarily reflect the independent creator. The whole goal was to have news from smaller to bigger independent publishing houses, not the big 2, on the website, that would then draw in people to see your press release also, or news about other independent small press creators. What's happened is that I spend half my time posting the news about these bigger publishers, and I don't have time to post more stuff for the small guy. And so I want to get ICD back to kind of where we started at, was focusing on that small person. And you'll still find news from like Aftershock. You'll still find news from Mad Cave Studios on the website, but it won't be as much. And we're going to start getting back into more one on the print creator interviews, for example, that we used to do, that I don't have time to do anymore because I don't have time to edit the answers and stuff to make them all look right because I'm busy posting stuff from Boom Studios. And so while all that's important, while I do still think a good mix of stuff on the site draws more eyes and gets more eyes on independent creators, I think that we got that mix wrong for a little while, and I think we're gonna get that back now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So well, I think that I don't necessarily know that it was an overcorrection,
Right.
but I will say that okay, so from the outside, before I joined on as I mean, I used to special guest co-host, blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
before I joined on as a co-host, there was a lot of emphasis just on Kickstarters. Basically, it was let's invite our friends over, on or whatever every week or two from the different groups, and whoever's running a Kickstarter that we talk about that. Now that can be fun if it's fun, but when it's not fun, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so I think that there needed to be a little bit of diversity in what was put out, and even though we just went on a 20-minute tirade about wingless comics, every question doesn't need to be bookended with what I've done in indie comics and what my comic says. So I think that there are some changes that needed to happen, and I also think that some of those changes helped legitimize what ICD is and what it can be.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's kick-ass having Aftershock and Boom and all these people as press partners who send us stuff. But again, I just think that let me see how I can put this so that nobody gets offended. I overestimated the capacity of independent creators to send me a press release. And whereas most independent creators, they're just they're in the mode I'm in right now, right? Of dragging that Kickstarter along, of promoting their stuff, trying to get more fans. And even though it should be forefront on their mind, marketing, it's not. And so if that's something we can do as a nonprofit, is kind of step in and help people market their books better through our site, then so be it. But it's not just going to be Kickstarter promotion, like you were saying. It's going to be, getting into the weeds of your creative process and talking about resources that you can help other people figure out. Like today, I posted lettering and sound effect resources. There's 2 great videos I had watched over the weekend that I learned a lot from. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to post that. I didn't create it. Another creator created it. But we can reshare that and expose more people to that. And I don't think that creator needs anybody else. Like, so that's kind of I think change our focus with Broadcast from the Dispatch a little bit in year 3, and with what you're seeing on the website too.
I think it's important. And I mean, there were some things that we talked about actually in year 2 in terms of getting some of the creators that we know to come and kind of teach classes and doing some of like the quote masterclass kind of stuff. Script writing, like you said, lettering, editing, all these different things. And I think that it can expand both the brand and what the brand does to help other creators. Because marketing is difficult, and the algorithms aren't making it any easier for you. Your amount of TikTok followers does not equal money. We've seen that on a number of levels, not just in indie comics, but in music and in acting, all these other things. Your IG follows, translate to 1% maybe. Facebook translates to 1% maybe. And so there are a lot of pitfalls that people can be victim of, and so it's pretty awesome to kind of help them not be victims. That's kind of where my head is in terms of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, totally. And I think that you're right in the like getting some of our colleagues and fellow creators on who have certain expertise to teach master classes through Broadcast from the Dispatch or through an article on the website, and just making that spot where creators, because we're each other's own best support system, right? We all have our own family and friends. Some creators kind of bust out of the box and start creating their own fan base. But at the end of the day, I mean, indie supports indie a lot of times. And so being able to get get people to the website to maybe see an article on lettering, for example, but then they look over and they see the Immortalis press release also, and they're like, oh, okay. Or they see an interview with Malachi Bailey about her, like they're like, oh, that's a cool concept. Let me go check that out. So yeah.
Link throughs, I mean, that's how CBR is what it is, to be honest with you, right? Like one thing catches your eye and you end up staying there. Wikipedia is amazing for that,
It is.
So I don't know, it's just smart. It's smart.
Yeah.
It's good business, I think.
Yeah. And we will do another, well, I'm just saying this, I'm pretty sure Drew's on board. We will do another volume of Tales from the Dispatch this year, which I have loved. Is this past year in particular, the volume 3, I think just about every story in there was every creator's first or second published story. And so I just think that's awesome, giving them the opportunity to be in a published book that's put together by 3 different organizations coming together to give first time creators a shot. And so we will do another volume of that. My plan, my hope is, okay, if you're out there watching this, this is where we could use some feedback. The ICD Awards. Now, I've been spinning my wheels on an award show. Maybe, Brian, you may have thoughts, because I want it to be good, well-balanced. But that's a big lift. But I'm committed to doing it, but I want to do it in the right way. And again, indie creators don't necessarily want to be judges, because they want to A, submit their own books, and then B, judging is a lift. So I guess I'm opening it up to the community as to how we do the ICD awards this year, because I want to do them. I want to give out awards this year more than just kind of the ones that we do at the end of the year of our kind of team picks.
I don't know. I don't want to give out awards because I can't be part of the awards in any form or fashion. So nobody gets awards. Brian doesn't get awards. No, I think the first thing to do would be to pick independent judges, right? And people who are going to be able to dedicate the week or 2 or whatever, right, to read the books. Yeah. Because just like the Eisners, right? They get the Eisners, but they don't actually read the stuff. You know what I mean? Like super early. It's like the month before, and then they prepare the awards. So,
and I think there's a team that kind of weeds it out and gets the finals to the judges. And so that's kind of like what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that would be a real big piece of it. And that's the first piece. And then, I mean, go off of, I think that awards, because we're all indies. I hate when people will say the best this. Yeah. With regard to an indie, right? Because, and I don't mean big mainstream stuff is what it is. But when you do that with an indie, are you like, I don't know, I'm always like, really? Even like at the Oscars, you see somebody win and you're like, but such and such's performance was better. I feel like with independents, you have a lot more of that because you have a lot more to pick from. It's independent. Everybody's doing one. So where I think Comics Wellspring did a really, really good job. They had their cover contest.
Yeah, they did a good job with
and it was submissions and then voting. And I think that it was honestly very, very fair in terms of that. And they picked a kick-ass cover. That Bigfoot Nose Karate cover was dope.
I love that cover.
Right? But then
to find out that was just fan art to begin with, it wasn't even going to be a cover. Like that's some cool shit.
Yeah, and then David Crownson was there for Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer's cover. There were a bunch of them that I think were really, really good. So I would personally kind of err on the side of how they did it.
But see, that's the voting trips me up, because I don't want the people with the biggest cheerleading session to just win outright.
This is true.
And so there's bumps there too.
The other way to do that is like the Academy does it, and you send out the ballots. I mean, you are a hub of indie, and I mean you by ICD, right? Yeah. You are a hub of indie comics creators. So if you say, hey, these 20 people, it's not going to be 20, but these 20 people are going to be my judges. I'm going to send them out the ballots and the digital copies of whatever books for whatever categories, and then they vote. That's more of a true vote than just, a fan vote.
Yeah. No, I get that. That's maybe a good idea. I wonder if, we'll have to talk more as a team also, because here's the cool thing about E-Comics Dispatch, and I'm going to actually talk about our sponsor for a minute, because we mentioned them, and so I put their banner up, and I'm going to play their spot in just a minute. Is that the Indie Comics Dispatch team? I think we have about 20 people who are active in as a team, and I love that. We have people who maybe write an article a year, which I'm totally cool with. We have people like Dale and Quentin who are writing reviews every damn day, which I love also. And so we have a very unique and eclectic team that can handle it, I think, and get it done. I do want to say one more thing about the website, because I feel like everybody needs a shout out every now and then. Dale, Jason, and Odessa, if you've seen any of their reviews, each of them are fantastic reviewers. They have also agreed to take on the task of helping me post reviews on the website. So far, everything you see posted on IndieComicsDispatch.com, though our author may be Quentin or Dale or Brian or whatever, I'm the one actually doing the posting of it. I take what they write and I post it to the website. That eats up a lot of my time. And so Dale and Odessa and Jason have all agreed to take part of that responsibility also, and therefore reduce the amount of time I'm spending just posting from my phone every day. So
awesome.
Yeah. So Brian mentioned Comics Wellspring. They are our sponsor, and we are super grateful for that. I am printing and fulfilling the Immortalis campaign through Comics Wellspring, and I'm actually going to write a review of the whole process when we're done. Don't tell them, but it's going to be honest. Yeah, I want it to be an honest review so that we can say, like, you can use this service and it's going to be awesome. Yeah, here's their sponsor spot that, again, I love every time I watch.
What does it mean to feel inspired? To be moved, to be awed, to feel creative. Inspiration, it motivates us. It encourages us to create something epic. And the best part of it all is that it's all around us. Inspiration creates inspiration. Bring your stories to life and inspire your world. Print your comic books with Comics Wellspring.
Comic Wellspring is a full-service printer, online store, fulfillment center. I mean, they kind of do it all and are doing more and more. And they are going to be our September 13th, our first kind of, I don't know if it's a new season. We'll call it a new season. We'll say season 3. Why not? But they'll be our first guest of that season. So they're going to be on to talk more about what they can offer independent creators. And it's a lot. It's a lot.
I will say that they have not fulfilled any campaigns for me.
Right.
My personal campaign fulfillment partner is 133 Art, who does an excellent job. But I have printed multiple books in the hundreds with Comic Wellspring, and they are top notch, 100%, without doubt. A great company, fast shipping, very responsive. Like, even when you ask stupid questions, they're actually really, really nice about it. I asked a very stupid question about a perfect bind of a book, and not only did they give me the answer, because they were like, the template's right here, Brian, and then they pointed me to it, but then they also gave me some more information in terms of how I want to set up my pages if I'm doing a perfect bind, because that's different than your normal comic binding. So again, they're great guys and great team, and I can't say enough. And it's not because Brian, am personally not sponsored by Comic Wellspring, so I don't have to talk about them, right? But I am saying this because they are legitimately good, and I legitimately recommend them every time somebody asks where
and
to
there
print.
are companies out there that would come up that haven't come up to us, let me be clear, but that if they came up to me and be like, hey, I want to sponsor, I'd be like, no. You do not align with our values at all. But Comics Wellspring definitely aligns with our values. They are super supportive of independent creators, and they I'm sure they make a decent amount of money, but they also put their money where their mouth is in
Mhm.
supporting indie creators also. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 16th. I'm looking forward to that, to
yeah,
having them on, right, and just being able to pick their brain as
yeah,
a creator, wondering about the process.
yeah. So have your questions ready. That's what, two weeks ish
2
away.
weeks. Yeah.
So have your questions ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the ICD awards are on the horizon. You'll be seeing a kind of tilt back towards more independent creator focused, I guess is the best way to put it. I feel like we've always been, but kind of some of the resources and ways of us supporting independent creators versus just focusing on them. And so look for that. And again, I gotta say it, but the best place to get news about what's going on is our website. And our website still gets a ton of views every month. And so yeah, we are also tweaking, not changing, I will say, but tweaking our review system a little bit. So we do a ton of reviews. I meant to look at how many reviews. I think we've posted over 500 reviews in our 2+ years of doing this.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy, and like
Quinn-
480 of those are Quentin's.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
Quinn did them. Okay, cool. Quinn did 500 reviews in 2 years. Thank you, sir.
another way that Brian has been connected through ICD since virtually the beginning. He connected Quentin and I together. And so like our review section would be pitiful were it not for Quentin.
I'd like to really quickly, man, and I'm sorry, I know
Uh-huh.
I'm taking us off, but
No, you're
I'm
good.
not an emotional person, but I
Mhm.
think that this is a very important thing. Quentin, and Quentin knows his story. This is not a mystery. Quentin at first didn't believe that he was good enough or he should be doing reviews, right? Which Quentin reached out to me one time because he had seen the book and he was like, "Oh, I wanted to talk to you." And so we ended up talking, but we had our internets weren't working, something was going on, we couldn't connect a video. So we did a print interview. And after, the interview, we were just talking in general and Quentin wasn't
Mhm.
sure what he wanted to do. He knew he wanted to do some things. But he wasn't sure. I say all of that to say, like, again, never give up on what
No.
you actually want, right? Because I feel like a lot of us, if we had listened to the doubts, because we all get doubts, if we had listened to the, oh man, nobody likes me, are they gonna, can I do this? Then all of us would have stopped. There would be no Wingless Comics. There'd be no ICD. Quentin wouldn't have Quentin's Engine Works. We wouldn't have all of these things that we all enjoy, and are fulfilled by.
Yep.
So again, never stop doing what you're doing. Continue, because it will pay off in some fashion, if you just stick to it. And again, I'm super happy that Quentin and Brett were able to work it out, and Quentin came on and he's just a firecracker.
And now like some of the bigger publishers like Aftershock and other people, like I think Mad Cave and people like that, are using pull quotes from Quentin's reviews to push
Yeah.
their books. I mean, so
Yeah.
like he thought that's so fucking awesome. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm proud of that guy.
I am too. Someday we'll actually get to meet in person because he's like the opposite side of the country from
Oh,
me. Like
yeah.
he's even further away than you are. Like he is
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
diagonal from me.
yeah. He came down here for we have Transformer Con
Mhm.
in California, and it's actually literally up the block from me. So we actually met up for drinks and stuff, and it was really cool. And this kind of a hipster dive bar. I don't even know if that's a thing, but
think
it's
it's a
definitely
thing,
right? But yeah, it was really great meeting him. And Dale's going to be down here soon. I think we're going to try and meet up too. I think
cool.
next month. Yeah, so it'd be awesome.
His family are huge Disney heads, so I wonder if they're coming down for Disney.
That's exactly what it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
They Quentin and Dale are both just phenomenal human beings who everybody out there should get to know and follow what they do. They're awesome. Yeah, so I kind of forget where I was going before that. Oh, the review system. So we're not really changing it per se. And I know the one thing that kind of irritates a lot of creators about a review system is it's really hard to get to a 4 or a 5 in our review system even. That we may loosen that up a little bit. I haven't talked to the guys yet about that, but we may loosen that up a little bit, but more what you'll see is more streamlined reviews, shorter synopsis, so that make sure we're not giving any spoilers about the stories, and then a less of a focus on the categories of review that they'll still be there. This will guide the review, but it'll just be one overall star rating versus all those little star ratings that add up to the overall star rating. So that's coming down the pipeline. Dale, Quentin, and I have been in a fairly intense group chat that for about half a week now, kind of figuring all that out. And there was one point where I kind of like proposed it, like we had talked and talked and talked, and I kind of like, okay, this is what I'm hearing us say. And I thought Dale had responded. And then Quentin just never did. And like 24 hours went by. And it's like, fuck, I pissed Quentin off. Like, I didn't know you could piss Quentin off. And it was actually Quentin who had responded. But their
Nice.
profile pictures look similar in the
Yeah.
small group chat. And I was like, oh God, thank God. I didn't make Quentin mad.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming very soon. And so Brian, you and I have talked about this. I struggle sometimes because there's this tendency in when you're judging an independent comic to gloss over the mistakes, and we want to support everybody, but it's also very easy to get everybody a 5 or everybody a 4.5 stars, and we want to be honest in our reviews, so that if you do care, that's there. If you don't care and you just wanted to kind of see if it's a good book or not, you can read it from the narrative and see if it's a good book. But I think some creators struggle with our star system.
What I've noticed, and again, this is 2 years looking back, is that I remember he's not a well-known creator, I shouldn't say, but it's somebody that I knew well as a creator since I got in here. He got a less than favorable review. The public at large doesn't know that.
No,
because the review never went out. The review went to the person to say, hey man, if you kind of clean up these things, this is what we saw, blah, 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 then it'll be, a better book. And I think that's good because again, if you go, I've had my share of books reviewed. If someone doesn't like your book, they just don't review it. They just ghost you basically. And you never know. And you don't know if you got ghosted because they're too busy or they don't like your book. You've got to figure that part of it out.
If you get ghosted by ICD, it's because we're too busy. Just
so I think that this system is a little bit better if we're talking in terms of indies, because it's giving what was the thing you
Oh, you went out. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if I'm frozen or you're frozen. What's happening? Watch me. If you're watching this and in the comment section, let me know if I'm frozen or Brian's frozen, because I don't know. He's frozen. Okay. So he's the goofy one. I'm not. Let's just all pretend what he was going to say. No, this is the bad part of doing a live show when you don't know internet sometimes. So I think where he was going was, I'm not even going to try to guess because he always goes a different direction than I think he's going in a good way. But until we get Brian back, the review system will be updating. And so again, okay, he just dropped, so I'm sure he'll be back in just a second. You can choose to focus on that star rating. That's fine. The other way that I encourage all creators to do is to take that review and find a great pull quote. Almost every one of our reviews, whether you have a 3 or a 4.5, or even a 2.7, almost everyone has a great pull quote. And what I mean by that is a line that says, this creator really did this great. Take that line and put it in part of your press release. Take that line and plaster it all over social media. Take that line, put in quotes, put it on a cool graphic, and put it on Instagram. Let people know the good stuff that people are saying, and then you as a creator just take the critical feedback. And critical is not necessarily a bad thing. Don't forget, criticism should be a good thing and help you grow, which I have to remind myself of sometimes. But take that criticism and let it make your next book better. Or if you haven't put that book out yet, maybe you're sending advanced review, see what you can change. Not everything's changeable, but see what you can do. And then sometimes, like I said, if you feel ghosted by ICD, we go through seasons of getting tons of review submissions and then seasons of not many. So we get to catch up. We offer no timetable for reviews, unfortunately, because we are all volunteer and it is what it is. You get a review when you get a review. That's why we do not guarantee them for your Kickstarter campaign. We do not guarantee them for anything because we're volunteer based. And so we get to it when we get to it. But we do have a very dedicated team, a very dedicated Um, Brian just texted me. He said the internet in the whole neighborhood went out. Damn you, Spectrum. That's why I have AT&T. That's okay. We were getting close to the end of the show anyway, and I like talking more than I like listening to Brian anyway. So no, I'm just joking. So take that criticism and use it to make your book better. But then take the good stuff and just really promote the shit out of that good stuff and use it to propel your book in ways that you didn't think possible. Again, like you have a quote on an Instagram post that just says, let's take Brian, for example. Brian Lambert's use of metaphor in this book is matched by no other. I mean, that looks impressive to have that in quotes and then Indie Comics Dispatch underneath it, like that shows something. And so take the good parts and market with it. Take the parts that seem like criticism and use it to make yourself better. Sometimes, I say this all the time, reviews are subjective. And so sometimes a creator is actually right and the reviewer is wrong. Sometimes a creator does something and it just doesn't match with the reviewer. So certain cultural aspects maybe don't translate to, let's say I'm reading a Black comic, or let's say I'm reading a comic by a writer whose primary language is German. I may not pick up on subtleties that they put in there and they may go right over my head. Take what you can learn from and use it. Take what maybe the reviewer just misunderstood and put that aside, because reviews are, at the end of the day, subjective. Welcome back.
I know, right? Damn.
I wasn't sure you were going to make it.
Yeah. I live in a smaller block or whatever. The whole block went out for a second or two, which is okay, cool. Thanks, Spectrum. Whatever. I was saying something really cool too. So just imagine the best thing that could be said and the most awesome advice. That's what I gave.
That's what we assumed. Don't worry. That's totally what we assumed.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know we're coming to the end as well, but I'm glad I could just jump back on. So
me too.
I apologize for that, guys.
No, that's cool. Shit happens. One time, so I got a weird right hand, right? So I got carpal tunnel and some other nerve damage from some other stuff. And one time on a show, I accidentally clicked leave studio. I didn't mean to. My finger just did its own thing, and I left. And the guests were still here, and the show was still live. And so the guests were all
right.
And so I got back in as quick as I could. Oh, we weren't sure what was happening. It's yeah, sorry.
Yeah, right. This is what makes us independents, folks.
Yeah, this is it. The last thing I wanted to touch on was podcast. I am slow. I used to be great. So 2020 came, right? And we all had extra time on our hands, or a lot of us did. I started Indie Comics Dispatch in 2020 when I had extra time on my hands. I'm kind of back to the real world now. Have been for about a year, and I don't have as much time, and so I got to balance my time better. And so I am slow sometimes on posting the podcast version of the show, and I am sorry. I am going to get better about it. And one of the things that will help me get better about it is Brian pestering me about it. So
adds to list of things to do.
Project 99, you motherfucker.
Right. It is. I don't think anybody is celebrating the COVID time, least of all me. I had personal losses during that time, on and on and on. But I do think that there were some great things about that period in terms of being able to slow down, being able to take stock, being able to do a few more things that you're passionate about specifically.
Yeah.
And so, we're getting back to the world that people are used to.
Yeah.
And so a little bit of that goes away, but obviously we're still dedicated to you guys and doing what we do. Completely off the subject, but on the subject of podcasting, don't you have one that's going to be coming up soon?
Yes. So Thursday I record with Grandmaster Fax of the Fax Project, James Boyce.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be on, and I think that releases the next day or something, usually on Friday.
He's really good about his podcast, man.
Thanks, rubbing it in.
I mean, it did sound shady. I was like, oh yeah,
James is really good at it, Brad. You should learn something from him.
He doesn't record. He does though. I got nothing.
Yeah,
I got nothing. Yeah,
he does.
Yeah, you suck, Brett.
I do. You know what it is for me? It's that I got into the habit of recording an intro, and I'm just going to stop recording an intro and let our intro when we're live be our intro in the podcast, because that's what it is. I can't kind of wait till I can record an intro, and I don't need to do that. We do everything during the podcast. And again, that's one of those things that kind of like what do they call the like our appendix and stuff that's like hanging around. We don't really fucking need it anymore, but it's still there. Like
Yeah.
that's one of those things from the early days of ICD that's still there that we don't need. I mean, I can get that podcast out way faster that way. Because I have an hour of quiet time in the morning, but it's on a public bus as I ride it into work. Like I can't record a podcast intro on the bus.
Yeah.
So anyway, use mass transit if it's available to you.
Way to be community smart, sir. I appreciate you.
Yeah. So
Eco-friendly
yes,
as well.
I'm going to be on the Facts Project this Friday is when the episode should launch, talking Immortalis. Let me reload this page. I don't think we've had any pledges while we've been on the air, but I'm just going to reload it anyway. No.
Pledge, guys. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. But Immortalis is still live. 15 days to go. And 130 backers. I actually think we lost a backer while we were on the air.
Really?
Yeah.
Shame on you, backer.
But that's fine. That happens.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'll be on there talking Immortalis and everything. The stretch goal we're working towards right now is a Gailu tarot card. There's a tarot card called the High Priestess, and they're just within a deck of tarot cards, there's cards that are great, line up just absolutely perfect with a lot of the characters. And so I think that'll be something that we see in each campaign, as long as we reach it this time. So Gailu will be the first one, the High Priestess tarot card, which I think is really cool. It's got some cool tarot card art for it. So go back the project, if nothing else, just to get that backer count up, because I would love to end this campaign with 150 plus backers. That's where I'd love to be at.
Definitely going to do it. Also, I guess it should be pretty simple, but a lot of people kind of don't know. The more money equals more comics, guys.
Yeah.
So we obviously at Wingless want to go into at least like 2 comics a year model moving into next year. And hopefully the year after that, maybe once a quarter. Obviously,
not like 2 comics from each title.
Yeah, sorry. That's exactly what I mean. I mean 2 from each title. We want to do 2 issues from each title per year, at the very least, starting next year. So obviously, the higher you guys back, the more we're able to produce, and the more we're able to in turn give back to you guys. So
yeah, the way Kickstarter works for Wingless at least is we're not taking, like, once we hit goal, that doesn't necessarily mean we have enough from that total to produce the next book. We got to hit a little bit higher. And then even if we go higher, it's not like we're like, woohoo, we're going to go buy a hot tub. It's all that money goes back into creating more comics. So just remember that. That's how a lot of Kickstarters work. Not every Kickstarter, but that's how a lot of people's Kickstarter works. So remember that when you see a Kickstarter over goal. I know that's something I didn't used to understand. I was like, well, they made goal. Why do they need to keep funding? Because that means more comics. That's why.
Yeah.
Saw Dan and Brandon both comment, and so I wanted to say thank you to our patrons. You guys really make this possible. We have Comics Wellspring as a sponsor. That's fantastic. That's wonderful. They wanted to know what other type of support we had going on also. So you guys supporting helps other people support. And so patrons are where it's at. If you want to sign up as a patron, you can go to patreon.com/Indie Comics Dispatch, and I'm gonna pop that up here if I can make my hand work right. Indie Comics or patreon.com/Indie Comics Dispatch. You can become a patron for as little as $3 a month, and really the $3 helps. I mean, the $3 adds up, and it does help. And so stuff like the patron and the business sponsorships and stuff like that helps us be able to plan things and execute things like the ICD awards that are coming up. That helps us pay for web hosting. That helps us pay for our URLs, for our Amazon Web Services, everything that keeps Indie Comics Dispatch running. There really is a lot of cost behind it all. And you guys help foot that bill, and we could not thank you enough for that. So thank you. And if you want to join their mighty ranks, go to patreon.com/Indie Comics Dispatch. Anything else to add there?
I think that's it, man. I mean, I feel like I got to shut up before my computer freezes up again.
I know.
Yeah, right.
I keep waiting for you to go away again. Wait,
Right.
pause right there.
Right.
The your arcade game behind you makes you look like you have a Batman ears.
I hate you for saying that. Only reason I hate you for saying that is because Lori Foster of Unlikely Hero Studio said the same thing last week. But actually, I think she was like, "You look like a kitty. You look like a kitty cat." And I
See,
was
at least
like,
I said Batman.
"Okay, this is what we're doing. This is where we're at here." Yeah.
Oh, everybody out there, thanks for watching. We are at that hour mark. Thank you for being here with us. Longer than Brian was tonight.
It's so true. Painful.
We will be back in 2 weeks to start season 3. So thanks for watching. Share the feed, share the podcast, and help us grow. Talk to you guys later.